nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. And good evening to everyone at home. Before we start our meeting, Councilman DeWitt has a guest that he would like to introduce.
Thank you, sir. I'm Colonel Holshek. We just went over his pronunciation. It's here he represents, again, you'll correct my notes, the Guardian Honor Flight Program, amongst other things, the programs you wanted to talk about tonight?
American Legion.
From the American Legion. He's given presentations at the village and I believe the school board, and he wanted to come tonight and say a few words about the programs. So please, sir, you're the kickoff for tonight. Step up to the mic and
The mic is for the people at home, Colonel.
yeah, we're live on YouTube, sir.
We're live on YouTube. Okay.
Oh, we're high tech here.
Okay. Hi.
Hey.
Good to see you. I've got some things I'm going to hand out to you folks after this, but what I wanted to do is just want to take a few minutes of your time to make you aware of the resource for us to help our kids become better citizens. And they're coordinated by the American Legion. I'm the coordinator in Orange County for the American Legion for youth programs. I'm also in the Legion Riders, as you can see. I got my rider's jacket on. I ride with all the good folks at the Buffalo Soldiers Motorcycle Club. I work very closely with them. They're partners with me, as a matter of fact, on one of the initiatives that I'll talk about. So I feel, very much at home here in Highland Falls, and it's great to be back here again after being back here 2 times last week to get the word out. And so what I want to do is just go over these 3 things. One is Boys and Girls State. Anybody know what that is?
Yeah.
Okay, Boys and Girls State is, the best way to describe it is that it's a civics camp, basically, that we send young people who are at least 15 years old and juniors in high school. And they go up to SUNY Morrisville at the end of June for the boys and the beginning of July for 1 week, Sunday to Sunday. And what they get is an education and a very practical understanding of how government works based on the Constitution of New York State. So everybody gets to, for example, run for supervisor or mayor or councilman or governor even. And so everybody gets kind of a turn at that, and all the different functions. There are some people who are actually acting as members of the press and so on. They get a really good understanding of how government works, and so it's more important today than when I went in 1977. That's when I went for Washingtonville High School. So that's one. The other one is a relatively new program that, Joe, you mentioned, and this is the Honor Flight Youth Guardian Program. Does everybody know what the Honor Flight is?
Yep.
Okay, it's a great program. Jennifer DeFrancesco came to me. She heads up the Honor Flight here in the Hudson Valley. She came to me about almost 2 years ago and said to me, can we do something to get more of our younger people involved in being guardians? Now, if you know, a guardian is somebody who escorts. They get on the plane with them, they push their wheelchair, they go through some training, they have a meet and greet, so there's 4 hours there right before they go. And then they spend the day with them on the plane and through Washington. They go to the monuments with them and see the monuments that are made in the honor of all of these people. We have just maybe 1 or 2 World War II veterans that go on the flights and a handful more of the Korean vets, but 80% of these folks are Vietnam vets. And what's significant about that is that as they go through this whole day, they're going there, they are listening to this veteran's story. And they go to the wall with that veteran, and they see the name of somebody of his that, didn't make it home in the vertical position, or maybe died of his wounds later on. And you see him break down, and then he tells his story. And so what this does is it gives these young people a very personal understanding of the meaning of patriotism and service and sacrifice. And that veteran's story then will live beyond his years, because some young person is going to know it. And so that's really the intent. But it really comes home when they get home at about 8:30 or 9 o'clock at Stewart. Now, they've gone through a long day. They start off, these veterans, a lot of them wake up there at 5 or 4:30 or something to get over there. And at 6:30, they have a send-off ceremony that if you haven't been to, you should. And they go through this whole day. They fly down to Washington. They go through this. They have lots of what Jennifer calls Kleenex moments through the whole day. So they're flying home. They have mail call on the plane. They have, by the way, this is something else that the community can contribute to. The young people in the elementary schools can write cards. They collect cards from schools all over the county. Well, not just Orange County, but just in the area. And they're made out to the veterans, and they're there for, thanking them so much for, what you've done and so on. Some of these some of these cards that these kids make are just like, ugh. And so they have a Kleenex moment on the plane. And they think after this long day, they've seen and done everything. I mean, they're physically, emotionally exhausted. They get off the plane, they go down the ramp, and as they turn the corner on the ramp, there are like 300, 400 people in that terminal, standing there holding up placards saying, "Welcome home, thank you for your service." And this is the first time for these Vietnam veterans that they are given a welcome home in over a half a century. And that's something that the people of the town and the kids can also get involved in. I had a great experience last year when I was a guardian. In the spring, I was the guardian, and I came off the plane, and this kind of thing was going on. And out popped a bunch of high school kids doing the, holding up, and some of them kind of looked familiar. And then out popped this gentleman who I recognized immediately, and I said, "Principal Lazaro," it was Principal Anthony Lazaro from Port Jervis High School. And I said, "Principal Lazaro, what are you doing?" He says, "Colonel," he said, you and the Legion, you and the Buffalo Soldiers riders, when you came to our school and you talked about the importance of service and serving our community and how it's a great way to pay back veterans for what they did, we took that to heart." They got on a school bus in Port Jervis, went clear across Orange County. And I mean, think about this, folks. These are high school kids. What were you doing when you were 16 or 15 years old on a Saturday night at 8:30 or 9 o'clock? You weren't in an airport terminal welcoming home Vietnam vets, I'll bet you that. It's really uplifting. And there's a lot of negative news out there, and I point this out to a lot of people, is if you want to restore your faith in our communities, because it's our communities that make us great, not our capital, go to something like this and watch what happens. Because there are a lot of great things going on in the community, and that's the kind of thing I wanted to bring to your attention and to your awareness, that there are lots of opportunities here to do good things. The third and final one is what I mentioned earlier, which is a program that I created called the National Service Ride, which is basically, and you can look that up on the internet, National Service Ride. And what that's about is folks like Daniel Hope and myself and Richard Singleton and all those guys from the motorcycle clubs. we go into schools and we talk to kids, whether they're in the 6th grade, but we focus a lot on high schoolers or middle schoolers, and we talk to them about the value and meaning of service and why it is not just good for the country, their community and their country, but for them. We have this whole kind of value proposition briefing to them. And then we explain it in very personal and very practical terms, why it's so important. And for example, we tell them, we kind of do the what and the why of service. What is service? Why do people do it? What do they get out of it? And then how can you get involved? We're partnered also with the Orange County Youth Bureau, and then they come, we have a kind of a baseball diamond model that we use. So the third to home plate is the Orange County Youth Bureau telling the kids how they can actually look up service learning opportunities. And service learning is extremely important nowadays. It's practical learning. In fact, every one of the things that I'm talking about is practical learning outside the classroom. It's taking some things that they may have heard of on a theoretical level in the classroom and actually seeing it in the communities. So this is the practical learning side. But we tell them things like, service does not, there was part of my presentation that the service does not require a uniform. Service does not require a change of address. Service does not, in fact, require a good grade point average. Very important point that we try to make, because what we do with these programs is we're not just trying to reach the kids who sit in the front of the row of the class. We're trying to reach the kids who sit in the back row and show them there's a pathway to your future by doing this. Okay? And again, we explain all that, how it makes a huge difference on your resume. If you're coming out of high school and you show that you are a mature, responsible individual, you know something about leadership, you know something about team building, all these practical skills that you need in the 21st century economy, which is a service economy by and large. These are great things for them, and they are difference makers for those especially who are academically challenged. So these three things are what we do, and I want you to be aware of it. And your point person, you're very lucky in this town, your point person on all of these different programs here in Highland Falls is none other than John Flynn, who is the commander of Legion Post 633, just down the road here in Highland Falls. You're very lucky to have him. He and I worked together and with a few other people, Sally, in the response a couple of years ago to the flood that happened. My job was to kind of get the word out across the mountain and get supplies up here as quickly as I could, because I'm also a member of the Orange County Chamber of Commerce, and I was able to reach out through them. And they got the word out to a lot of businesses, and we were able to help a lot of people. So that's all I really have for you. Do you have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, first of all, for your service in all areas that continues, so thank you for that.
Well, once you've served, you never stop, because it's like a drug.
True.
It's a good drug.
Yes. Just a point, so I belong to the American Legion Ladies Auxiliary, and we just conducted interviews for Girls State. And it really kind of gave me hope for the future. These were kids who are just put together and able to tell you what their plans are and self-awareness. So huge fan of the Girls State program. Yeah. And here's the thing, folks, and I think a lot of folks may have missed this. There's a tendency, of course, in our country with every generation to kind of look down at the incoming generation and say, the country's going to hell in a handbasket. Look at this, these people. But these kids are good. They're really good kids. And they just want to do the right thing. More than not, when I go into the schools and I talk to them about this sort of stuff, and my partners, we go into the school and Daniel Hope, that Black's his motorcycle handle. He has an incredible ability to have rapport with the kids. He knows how to talk to them. But these kids, I don't think really hear this kind of stuff. And so again, we veterans in particular, this is a point I made
when James Skoufis inaugurated me into the, a couple of years ago, to the Hall of Fame in the New York State Senate, I was just totally blown away. But the point I was making was that there are a lot of veterans in your community who are an absolute jewel of a resource to do a lot of things for the community that you may not have thought of. I mean, I used my background in Army Civil Affairs, Ty knows what that is, but I knew how to coordinate stuff and get stuff done. We had people who have backgrounds in logistics who knew how to get supplies together and get them pushed forward, especially for that kind of thing like the flood that we had. There are a lot of veterans in your community who have skills and capacities that you just don't think they might have, but they're hugely valuable to the community. And again, one of the things we can do certainly is to help your kids understand the value and meaning of service, because the reason why we're doing this and the reason why I'm so deeply involved in this is because it's a process I call of passing the baton from our generation, as we got it from the greatest generation, passing the baton of leadership, generational leadership from the old generation. Now we've got the baton, we've got to pass it to them while we're still here. We have an obligation to pass it to them, they have an obligation to take it. And it's a great conversation that usually takes place.
Thank you, Colonel. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for your service.
What I'll do is get out of here while you're, moving on. I'll put some papers together for you all and make sure you get it.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question for one of our councilmen on something that one of our councilmen I'm going to ask the question to.
Yes, sir.
The colonel said something about once you serve, you never stop. How true is that?
Yeah, as he was talking, I was having flashbacks. They told me when I got out to sit down on the bench down there by the first, by the Navy Federal and just watch the cars drive by. But I couldn't do it, so that's why Chris and I probably have been friends at least about 5 years now, for sure.
Oh, at least.
And so you get a colonel and a sergeant major together, you sure already know it.
You get well, especially the sergeant major, because the sergeant major, no one talks back to the sergeant major, even the colonel.
Be smart.
These guys are the backbone of the Army. I mean, they are, all our NCOs are the backbone of the Army. I would not be half the man I am if I hadn't been the NCOs that I grew up with through the Army.
Thank you again. Any public comment on anything, I guess? Anybody?
Here tonight.
I know Dee didn't just come in here.
Sorry.
We got 16 things to tell us about.
The hair is messy, that's why. Hello, everyone. Dee Moreno, Town of Highlands Chamber of Commerce and business owner next door. So just a few things I'm going to say, I'm used to talking fast, so here we go. This weekend is going to be disco night at the American Legion. Please help support your Legion, either by volunteering or if you'd like tickets to come and enjoy and have dinner, please do so. You can buy the tickets online. We have it posted on Facebook and Instagram, but you can also just call or text me or John Flynn, which is the commander of the American Legion, and reserve your tables, and you can pay at the door, cash or credit card. I'll have my credit card machine on hand. So that's this Saturday at 7 p.m. I'll check to make sure it's also on the public access channel still, since I think it might have expired from the old date that we had snowed out. So if it's not there, I'll put it back on the public access channel. Just wanted to let everybody know, the Hudson Valley's Women Association, the Town of Highlands Special Events Committee, and the Center are all working together for some upcoming events, along with the Town of Highlands Chamber of Commerce, all four of us working on some upcoming events. We have a Mother's Day brunch, save the date, that's going to be in May at the American Legion. We're going to be having a car show coming up, save the date. I'm going to let everyone know the dates once we have them planned this week. We have the Chamber's monthly meeting happening next Wednesday. I'll also make sure that's on the public access channel, but it will always be on Facebook and Instagram as well as our website, just in case anybody needs to check on that. So that's a public meeting. Everybody's open to coming. We have, I'm just trying to think all the events coming up. We have Cinco de Mayo is in the planning works, thanks to Delicia's and the Town of Highlands Special Events and the Chamber of Commerce for coordinating that last year. So we're hopefully going to get underway for coordinating that this year. And we're hoping we're going to have some great news to tell everyone of some grants that we've put in for that's going to benefit the town in a whole. So can't talk much now, but as soon as we get the award letters, I'm not even going to say if, I'm going to say when we get the award letters, we'll go ahead and let the town know. It's going to be great things. It's going to be for the whole community. It benefits the whole community. And we're still working on grants to just, help out and do wherever we need. If you're a business, an organization, or just an individual who would like to help on the chamber board, you're welcome to do so. If you are a business, organization, or a group that needs help, the chamber and our volunteers are here for you. So just let us know. I'm hoping that should be everything. Oh, I'm sorry. And we can't forget, Juneteenth planning is already on its way. We're meeting every week. So just show up at the center. We're meeting every Friday. Just show up, call us, anything you want. My phone number is very big printed on my windows on Main Street. So if you can't make it to a Juneteenth meeting, but you want to help either with vendors or just in general help with anything, it's all hands on deck. We'll need a lot of help. So we also have the Soldiers for Life Veterans Weekend, the same weekend as Juneteenth. Everything kind of coordinates together, along with our annual gala, which is also a very big deal. So again, we're looking for volunteers for that. And again, we meet every week. So and Ty usually puts out an email if he's doing a special Zoom, but if anybody just wants to meet, just let me know. And I think that should be everything, unless anybody has questions.
This is all on your chamber website?
Yeah, and everything we post.
Website again is?
www.tohcc.org.
tohcc.org.
But we try to make sure the Facebook and the Instagram page is updated as well, because our page may not be aesthetically pleasing right now because it's still in the works, but we try to post as much as we can on everything else, on all different channels.
I received a letter from Sally on our dog pound and suggesting that we have a grand opening.
That would be nice.
But it won't be nice. I really think that in the sewer plant, where it is, it's in the far end of the sewer plant, I can't envision having something like a grand opening in the sewer plant. Plus, it's dangerous for the general public walking through. That's the main reason, is it would be dangerous to have.
I didn't know the location, but
Well, the dog pound is there.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'll talk to you later about
Okay.
it, but if we want to get together and just maybe you or Sally and I handing over the keys to the dog control officer.
We could do something like out front here. That would be nice.
We can do that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent.
But as far as the going down the sewer plant, that's the thing.
Yeah, for me, I didn't know where it was, because at that time, you guys didn't have it open at that time, but now I know, sorry.
It'll be open hopefully on April the 1st.
Okay, perfect. Oh, April Fool's Day?
Yeah, that's it.
Your dog's here. Nope, just kidding. No. All right, wonderful. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, let's carry on with the meeting. Previous minutes, February the 24th. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes as published?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried, thank you. Communications. I received a letter from Dan Guerrera. But we can talk about this, but I just want to make note that we did get his letter, and we're going to talk about it. He has a question regarding the water tank that's being built in my neighborhood that's almost complete. I want to make sure that there will be trees planted surrounding the tank. While it is great that we have additional water shortage, it's not exactly easy on the eyes and makes the neighborhood look terrible. Well, I can't exactly agree with him, but the town board will talk about it.
I sent out an email to everybody on that whole thing, so.
Okay. So we will talk about it. take it into consideration if that's the right thing to say. Now, I received a letter from DOT. Replacing critical infrastructure and ensuring the safety of the traveling public is of the utmost importance, and the project along US Route 9W to improve resiliency has begun. That's Storm King, for those of you who are trying to figure out where I'm talking about. The contractor will be on site beginning March the 17th. I don't know what they're doing there on St. Patrick's Day, because I don't know any contractor that works on St. Patrick's Day. Am I right? But anyway, daily lane closures will be reestablished and long-term lane shifts begin on April the 7th. A work zone speed limit will be set and enforced at 35 miles per hour along the project limits. So they're going to get back to work on Storm King, and we know that if you're using that road, there's going to be delays, et cetera, et cetera. Chief, you know anything more or less?
I know it's going to be one lane in either direction in one of either the southbound or the northbound lanes.
Okay.
So there is going to be a lot of traffic issues.
And also, let's see, I think Tiffany got a notice from the DOT that they would like to sit and talk with us, including yourself.
Yes.
So they're setting up a date for it. I'm not sure when it's going to be.
Any word on the Old Mountain reopening soon?
On,
On Old Storm King?
218.
218?
no,
Have we heard anything?
if we have that meeting, we'll ask about that.
I'll bet they open it before they do this, go down a single lane.
That was brought up at the last meeting, was, traffic being reorganized to 218.
Very quickly, I transferred $4,637 from the consolidated account to the paying account to cover this week's check run. The big items were Reed Systems for liquid de-icer, $3,287. New Windsor EMS for an ALS and Intercept, $1,350. Then I also transferred $138,891 from the consolidated account to the paying account. Big items were MVP Healthcare for insurance, which was $45,108. Municipal workers' comp for workers' comp insurance, $31,306. Legal services, $8,512. Field work and reports, $6,240, and that's for what's called, no, I missed one, Centrisk. That's the field work and reports. Then $6,240 to the State Comptroller's Office for fines in the month of January, which was $5,727. Any questions?
Thank you.
Board liaison reports. Councilman Sullivan, please.
Okay. So I brought my projector, which I've used for sit and chats. I wanted to show some pictures of the new water tank, the new dog pound and whatnot. I'm gonna wait until the next meeting when I actually have a chance to set the thing up before being in front of a couple thousand people trying to get it to focus, so that I'm sure that I have it right at that point in time. So I'll read off to it and I'll have some of these pictures, which are good ones at the next meeting. My water report, last week BRI sent out the monthly report for the month of February to the Orange County Department of Health and copied those of us who were pertinent. They're doing a great job up there. It's simplified. The average water for the month of February, we were using 72,458 gallons per day. That's very good. I don't think there's any substantial leaks. We would know about it. On that report, they also have two places where they sample. One down by Bosch's, one is down below M&R down there, whatever it's called down, the American Burrito. And from each of those places, the coliform and all that checked out fine. The chlorine residual is 0.77 at Bosch's and 0.71 downstream, which is more than enough. I heard talk about how we may have to boost or whatever. That is absolutely ample for the chlorine residual, and that's almost down to the end of the system. I was up at the water plant a couple of weeks ago. They had an open house up there. So I'm not a member of the village government. They make good water. That water plant is in good shape and it's well operated. Any things that are happening as a product of the distribution system, not that water plant. VR knows what they're doing and they're doing a good job. Next, so up at Corbin Hill, got a call from the engineer last week that the water tank is now assembled. I kind of already knew that because my drone checks that place out about once a week. And I have some pictures that I would like to show everybody. That's going to wait till the next meeting when I'm a little bit more organized for it. The 195,000 gallons next to a 58,000 gallon tank. That's going to give us more than 3 days supply in the event that something goes wrong. And not installed yet up by the master meter on 218 is going to be a check valve, so that way it can't backflow. It'll be a one-way street. And that project, I gotta tell you, I have confidence I'll have that thing in service probably by Memorial Day, if not sooner.
Question.
Yeah.
You sent us some pictures. Is that you inside the tank?
Oh, yeah.
And how did you get inside the tank?
That's, I'm Richie Sullivan from Fort Montgomery. You have to ask any more questions? So the tank, I put together 4 of these last year. One was in Bear Mountain, 2 over in the town of LaGrange, and 1 over near Dover. So the company that puts them together, it's kind of amazing the way they do it. They don't need a lot of heavy equipment and whatnot. They can put it up in basically a week. The process of filling it is a little bit careful because can't have people in there, putting their bubble gum on the wall as they fill it. It's got to be dechlorinated. It's got to be chlorinated and filled with a procedure. There's people that do that and then they turn it over to us. The pipes have been tested and all that. So I did go in there and took a little video, which I'll show at the next meeting.
Okay.
I'm going to show it tonight, but I don't want to choke on live television. So I did go in there. I'm looking at it right now, the video of it. Also, Bog Meadow is a village reservoir. We all have vested interest in it. I go out there once a week. The old dam at Bog Meadow on one side is about 2.5 feet below the spill elevation. Since last October, it has not been that high. It's finally that high now. So there's still ice out there. All the snow melt and the rain we've had, the old dam is just barely covered on the east side. The west side is a little bit higher. So they're about 2.5 feet down out there. I'm not sure what that translates into capacity. On the sewer report, I signed the DMR for February a couple days ago. Jimmy had in early. We averaged 71,000 gallons per day. That's about 60% capacity. I spent time down at the plant today with Jimmy. While I was there, I took some pictures of the new dog shed. And their weight is all ready to go. The exterior is going to be stucco. They need temperature in order to accomplish that, and it can't be raining. They'll be down there doing that tomorrow. I think it might take them more than a day, but they're all ready to go. They'll be stuccoing that thing tomorrow. So when you say you think it'll be ready by April 1st, I think that's a pretty good projection. Back to the sewer plant. New bar screen is a little bit more complicated than the old one, and they've had some trouble with it tripping out. It has sprayers that clean it, and it wasn't enough water pressure, so we put the new well pump in that corrected that. We put a switch in to boost the pressure. We had that heavy rain there sometime last week. That messes it up sometimes. They clean that and it's fine. So it's a nice instrument, but it's a little bit sensitive when you get a lot of flow, so they have to put a little time and effort into it, which they have. And I had pictures of that in the old bar screen here and all that. The buildings down there, every one of them except for the sludge pump house building has a new roof on it. The plant received $3.1 million, so the clarifier guts are new on both tanks. The headworks building has a new bar screen. That was a product of the storm. The belt press we're having a little trouble getting the sludge to meet Denali's compliance. The belt press is a very nice piece of machinery. There's some tact involved with operating with the polymer to get it just right. And also down there, when I first came on board in this job, was we had a little violation from something that was oversighted for a few years with dechlorinating. Not only do you have to chlorinate, you have to dechlorinate between April and October. There's this thing called the trihalomethane, which if chlorine goes out into the river after water treatment and sewer treatment, they found that it can find its way into fish and be carcinogenic. So they make you get rid of the chlorine after you chlorinate it. That little building cost us $300,000. It's a cute little thing. And if you remember, Assemblyman Scoopus at that time got us, I think it was $125,000 to help pay for it. So when people talk about the cost of the dog pound or anything else, the dechlorination building is 8 by 8, and it was $300,000. And that's just the name of the tune, that's just the way it is. What else I have here? I had the dog shed, building report. If you go onto the website, you'll see that we posted that we have hired new code enforcement officer, Moses Pavon, part-time. He will generally be working a full day on Monday, a half day on Wednesday, and a full day on Friday. And on Mondays and Fridays, we're trying to have him dedicate hours from 2 to 4. So if you don't have an appointment from 2 to 4, he will be there to serve people when they come in. And I think that'll work out handsomely. He's in his 3rd week. We have accomplished a great deal with a small amount of resources, mostly because Gabby Conklin in that office is very competent, keeps that office well arranged. She knows how things work between planning, zoning, building, village, and town. The phone is getting answered and service is being rendered. We have caught up to a point where there's going to be some focus on property maintenance and violations and sanitation violations. See, Greg is here. I called him before today about when they pick up in the village of Highland Falls. I'm going to get to that in a minute. So Gabby sent out an end of the day report to me today, and I wish I could show it, but I'll read it to you. So she said, Richie, here's a report from today. Complaint for, I'm not going to say where, an unlicensed vehicle. Moses went to check it out, and advisory notice was written. Received application and plans for a place I'm not going to say to be reviewed. I've been helping him with bulk reviews because he's not all that familiar with our code, and he does the code enforcement thing. It's working out handsomely. Inspections today were done for 6 Weezy Avenue, which is a brand new house being built, and 427 Main. 427 Main is Westies. Westies is underway. They're not waiting for anything from the building department. Called back a lady today who sent an inquiry in on whether or not short-term rentals in the village of Highland Falls in certain zones are permitted. I'll get that, and I'll talk about that in a second. And then Moses returned a couple of phone calls. He was here half a day today. He'll be here all day Wednesday and all day Friday because he only worked half a day today. I asked her to give me the 10 most outstanding advisory notices. Here's her comment. There have been 37 complaints since January 1st, and 14 remain open. Of the 14, there are 3 that I can have Moses check on this week. Most are in process, waiting for compliance from owners, and will be turned into violations if necessary. I'd like to read just a little bit to you about how that works for property maintenance, okay? Actions needed to bring property maintenance issues to resolution. Initial inspection by code officer. Advisory notice sent by mail. Second inspection by code officer if failed. Violation order to remedy is issued. Notice sent regular mail and certified. Notice posted on property by code officer 5 to 7 days before the next meeting, being a village meeting. Third inspection done Friday before Monday's meeting. Fails sent on Friday to the village staff for preparation for Monday's meeting. Fourth inspection on Monday before the scheduled meeting. Any passes forwarded to clerk to remove. Upon notification of resolutions, building department sends property notices to each landscaping company for bids to clean up properties. Building department receives and awards bids accordingly. Once a building department is notified that the work is completed, the 5th inspection is done for verification. When the work is completed and the voucher is received, the code enforcement signs off on it. Voucher and invoice are sent to the village clerk. So you can do all that and say if it's grass cutting, and then say if a month later they're not cutting the grass again, well, guess what? It starts all over again from square one. I would like to streamline that somehow, to involve Justin, and when they decide what's going on up the road up here for April 1st, I'd like to streamline that a little bit if I possibly can. If you have, I don't know, say if you have 20 of these going on at one time, I don't know how they keep track of it. It's very difficult, so I'm not trying to make excuses for them. They are doing it, and it's a cumbersome process. The village of Highland Falls, north of Mountain Avenue, has their regular garbage dumped on Tuesdays. We took a ride around last Friday, and there are a lot of garbage cans that have, forget about them not being put away, they're full. And they've been full for like 5-6 days. They're not supposed to go out until 5 o'clock the night before. So I'm giving everybody north of Mountain Avenue a heads up that when Moses comes in on this Wednesday afternoon time, he's gonna go out, any garbage cans up there that are not pulled back in from the curb, they're gonna be written a violation, okay? We have the time to do it on Wednesday, and that's what we're gonna focus on Wednesday. This is what people wanted, and this is what we're gonna do. And insofar as property maintenance, what I just read to you, there was 17 of them since January 1st, if I remember my numbers right. Those are in progress. And so when a new administration comes in, the things I would like to look at or change is what I just read about property maintenance, to try and streamline that in some way. The second is in the village code of use regulations, is in a particular zone, if the bulk table does not have something listed as a use, then at the bottom is a note saying that it's not allowed. Now, there's been some people calling up about short-term rentals. So at the moment, they're not allowed because they're not on there. I have a feeling a lot of what the AOG and other people are going to be doing is going to probably fall into the category of a short-term rental. There's no definition for it, and it's not in the code. I would like that to be addressed by the new administration. And then another one that was a hot topic this week that's not in the code also are child daycare centers. Those are kind of mandated, they're monitored by the state to some degree. They are not a listed use in any of the bulk codes in the village either right at the moment. I think that all needs to be addressed, and as I catch up with these things, I'll send them a piece of mail asking them to take a look at it and update their codes so that we have something to act upon, besides just saying it's not a listed use so you can't do it. I don't know that that's going to carry as time goes on. Greg, I had a text from him earlier. He's late because there was a trailer that caught on fire today up in the trailer park, and he's one of the good firemen up there putting it out. And so I know he's going to talk a little bit about when we get to Wyatt Road. And my final thing is on a DPW grass cutting RFP. So I had it sent back to me from being a PDF to Word, and it gets all mangled, so I'm almost done with that. That'll be ready to be issued Wednesday, so that we can have people cutting the grass by the middle of April. That's it.
No, it's not it. While Greg is here, and I'm sure he's got better things to do to sit through our whole meeting, but let's just skip forward to Wyatt Road. Greg, you've gotten, I guess, all the okays for easements other than one that you
Yeah,
could
I've
get hold
spoken
of?
to all the property owners but except one.
Okay. And
Everybody seems in favor.
Larry and Jim more or less said that they believe that we will get our money from FEMA to fix the road.
Yeah.
So, because it's not the damage we're fixing, now we're doing, medication. Not medication.
Mediation.
Remediation.
Mitigation.
Mitigation.
Okay, me too, see, we're both on.
Greg is here. Do you have anything to add to Wyatt Road?
No, everybody saw the video, and Greg has seen it, so they know what's going. The bulk of the work, correct me if I'm wrong, that hasn't been done yet, is gonna be basically replacing that 36-inch pipe with an arch, which is 52 wide, I forget what it is and whatnot.
Yes, equivalent
Current pipe is
to a
like-
4-foot.
That's right, current pipe is what, like 265 feet? I think the new one's gonna be 400 or some odd feet or something like that. That's the lion's share of the work, isn't it?
That's, yeah. And I think for mitigation work, before we're going to be able to actually move forward, we'll have to secure the easements with the property. And it'll actually have to be approved by FEMA. So I think we're a little more secure with that type of work than the initial, response after the flood. So this will be something that they'll approve to allow us to go ahead. So I don't think there's a problem once it gets approved if it's getting funded.
And Justin, you're okay with working with Greg on getting the easements?
Yeah, I'll coordinate with Greg now that I know he's had successful conversations, and we'll start to run them up, and we'll meet Lank and Tully on meets and bounds descriptions.
I think they sent the proposal.
They sent the proposal, yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I have, well, you've seen their proposal, right?
I have.
Yeah, it's expensive, but what is it?
What isn't?
And we should be reimbursed for that on category Z of the FEMA, the administrative cost, which you file at the very end of your FEMA claim.
All right, Greg, I appreciate you coming tonight. If you want to sneak out the door, you're most certainly.
I'll have the grass cutting thing to you Wednesday.
I will pick you up on that. Have a good night. Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Councilman King.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and good evening, everyone at home. Very, very brief, only a couple of notes here. One, I'm still working for a potential Women's History Month program. Tentative date is the 28th, which is a Friday, to be the location to be determined. One of the guest speakers is our esteemed councilwoman Nancy Forbert over there. She just don't know. She just heard that just now.
Yes, she did.
Well, I figured since we had 5 James I. O'Neill High School members from the same class in here just until Greg left. Now, why not pull a rabbit out of a hat and just see if I can get you to do it. Weather changes in terms of disaster preparedness, if you want to talk about it in that terms, but in terms certainly safety. And we're going through weather changes. If you hadn't figured it out, we're going from winter to spring, and so what comes with that? Climate's a little bit different, right? So windy conditions. You may have some animals come out that you hadn't seen in a while. Maybe been sleeping. Could be bears, or it could be snakes or something, right? So be cautious. And then also pedestrians, right? So you start to see more people out walking, particularly children playing in the streets. And I know in some of the more condensed areas, that gets to be a hazard sometimes. So I would ask people just to be cautious. Senior coloring, we're still planning for this event that is a more of a wellness event when you talk about the benefits of pulling out the coloring books. Vision it'll be on a Friday. We'll use some donated materials, and then we'll have some snacks, and then all the seniors who are interested will certainly be welcome. And we're looking at April 4th as the starting of that program. Location to be determined. 9th, Dee talked about Juneteenth, and so this will be our 9th annual event, I believe. Not off from my counting, but the 9th annual Juneteenth celebration. Juneteenth actually this year is on a Thursday. The 19th is the official day, but we'll celebrate our parade on the 21st, which is a Saturday. That's our tradition here. We do the parade on Saturday. And so that weekend, we talked about earlier, Dee mentioned also this veterans thing that we usually do. It's called the Veterans Resiliency Retreat. We've had people come from all over the country to this little town right here to celebrate. In correlation with the Juneteenth celebration, we'll do some events like holistic health to try to combat veteran suicide. And we'll do some events which connect people and get people to be a community, like the gala she mentioned. And then we concluded with a equine assisted therapy type of experience. In the last couple of years, we've been using Morgan's Farm. So all that's underway and the planning is happening. And the last thing I wanted to bring to folks' attention, and when I started talking about mental health, it led me to think about this movie I just saw last week called My Dead Friend Zoe. I don't know if y'all heard the title, but it's a movie that's out right now that's featuring Morgan Freeman, Ed Harris, and a couple other great actors. But the premise of this movie is about suicidal ideations, mental health awareness, and issues and then the correlation between that and military and veterans and so forth. But it's really a movie that can translate beyond military, because I don't know if you guys are aware, but we're having this challenge with our youth as well. And so it's something that we should be conscious of, if nothing else, right? And so mental health, you hear a lot more about it in sports, and then on the professional athletes level, you see people coming out and telling their stories and so forth about anxiety or some sort of mental health challenge. So I just wanted to throw that movie out to you, so if you get a chance to see it in theaters, I watched it down in New York City as a result of being invited to a special screening with Paramount. And of course, when I heard the name, I was thrown off a little bit, and so pleasantly surprised that it was a good movie, and certainly I can relate to it on many levels from a veteran standpoint. Subject to any questions, that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilwoman Sportman?
Thank you. First, I'd like to mention the 28th of March, the Women's History Month. I've been working very hard on my presentation, so I think it'll be really worth coming out for. Really, just one thing tonight is ambulance calls for the month of February. There were 43 total calls. There were 41 responses. First one on the 12th of February. I said it was for February, right? On the 12th of February, the town of Highlands Ambulance was already on a call, and there was no second crew available, so the call was handled by New Windsor Cornwall Ambulance. And on the 15th, there was no driver or EMT available. The call was handled by Stony Point Ambulance. So I will say again, anyone who is interested, the town of Highlands Volunteer Ambulance Corps could always use your help. And so I would encourage you to think about volunteering for that. Because when you need the ambulance, that's what you need. And we're happy to provide that, most of the time we're able to be there, but it would be great. Dee, yes.
I know in some of the other towns, or like coming from the city, they do like a program for the kids, like the older children, to see what it's like to be a part of the ambulance corps, the fire department, things like that. So I know the fire department does get kids at a certain age. Does the ambulance have that type of program as well? And if they don't,
I know it's operated informally. Yeah, I can actually absolutely bring it up with them. Sorry, and I didn't mean to talk over you, but yes, so they've done that. Yeah, informally that's happened, and I'd be happy to bring that up with them.
And they do have junior something.
Yes.
Where they're,
I think we don't
not
have
old
anybody
enough
right
to
now, but I
drive or
think
be
of
in the back.
Ryan Walker, who's done
They
that.
ride them in the back and
Yeah.
what have you. So they do have something going to
Yeah.
try to attract the younger people. And you might add, though, that we keep saying the town of Highlands Volunteer Ambulance Corps. Well, we're not exactly a volunteer ambulance corps. The EMTs are paid as part-time
Yes.
employees. So if there's someone out there that's an EMT and wants to make a few extra bucks and join our ambulance corps, we do pay part-time.
Thank you, boss. That's all I have.
And we always need drivers.
And we always need drivers. Yes.
Councilman DeWitt.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to say, Sully, I'm going from sludge to slam dunks. Aaron Falk had a few things he wanted me to let everybody know. Basketball season has officially ended, and they had a really successful season. Thank you, Aaron, and to everybody for all the work and the programs with that. Spring sports registration will open tomorrow for baseball and softball for kids of all ages. The registration link is on the website and the Facebook page. March Mania is this Friday and Saturday at James O'Neill High School. The Friday is from 5 to 8 p.m. and Saturday from 10 to 4. Aaron's also proud to say they got 32 pairs of shoes for free to give away for the March Mania. The Easter egg hunt is coming up and is scheduled for April 12th with a rain day of April 19th, and that will be held at Roe Park. Sign-ups for the boys and girls lacrosse are also open. The link is also on the Facebook page. We are trying to assemble as many boys and girl teams as possible for grades 3rd to 8th. So if you think about signing up, please do. They have equipment available for use for anyone that needs it. Regarding, I know, Dee, you mentioned Channel 23, our channel. Everybody, I appreciate that we haven't gotten a lot of people screaming about it. We've been having technical problems. There was a power glitch last week that it may have fried our brand new computer that runs Channel 23. Again, I always thank Gene Tallman and Lisa Bora, who are constantly working on it, keeping it up to date, and working with the company that we bought the computer from. I'm actually coming in with Lisa tomorrow to call them, and we're going to see if we can resolve the issue through a software upgrade, or we may have to pack up that sucker and mail it back in and get a new one. We'll know more tomorrow. So hopefully, I know Channel 23 tends to be fuzzy. It's a litany of issues with what's available equipment-wise. To find the equipment that we would need to replace to keep it status quo is hard to find. To upgrade it to another level, then Spectrum doesn't provide that service for free. There's going to be a number involved, and we haven't addressed that yet. We're still trying to get this thing to work right. But the radio's been pretty clean, so we'll take whatever blessings we can. And then, Bob, thank you for letting me go last, because a testament to the reports across the board and the privilege of working with everybody makes what I'm about to say taste a little sweeter. So here it goes. I wrote it out so I could not stumble. Last Monday, I attended the village board meeting. As expected, it was replete with the usual mix of business and dysfunction. What's sad is the ongoing lack of decorum, fueled by the board and citizens who feel they're not getting straight or honest answers. Toward the end of a very lengthy meeting, the last trustee to give the report was Jim DeSalvo. He was volleying infrastructure issues with the heated crowd when he decided to deflect village issues by pointing a finger at the town's infrastructure and what is allegedly not done. This is bona fide bull. But out of respect, I did not break decorum and shout out like these moments invite people to do. Soon the meeting was adjourned. I then stood up to announce to the crowd that what Trustee DeSalvo said was not true and that the town's projects were largely done. He then began shouting at me, what does largely mean? The sewer plant needs work. And of course, my personal favorite, you still have no dog pound. Trustee DeSalvo, like many, should know that shouting down somebody with bull does not make statements more true or factual. For the record, roads and drainage in the town are fixed, as you heard tonight. Parks are rebuilt, and our sewer plant is functioning at 100%. And because it so directly affects the functioning of our town and our lives, and it's a big concern of Trustee DeSalvo, I'm happy to report, and as you heard earlier, the new dog pound, which is mandated by state regulations for us to have, is on track to be completed by month's end. And let me add, all this work is done by the hard work of all our departments, and everything is financed responsibly. Bottom line, I say to Mr. DeSalvo that when the village residents stop complaining about brown and smelly water, when village infrastructure is modernized and sound, when Roe Park is put back together and kids are playing baseball on the still decimated Little League field, then and only then should you be pointing a finger at us. And please stick to facts, not misinformation. If the day comes that you have something constructive to add, bring it to our board. And better yet, attend one of our meetings. Not only will you be heard, like everybody, you'll be treated with respect. Now, for anyone who will question the timing of my words as being politically motivated, the answer is no. It's no secret that I support the team, We the People, but it was Mr. DeSalvo who chose the timing and the venue last week to make statements about the town that weren't true. Now, we don't make claims of perfection, but this board and the town departments work hard to balance what needs to be done with fiscal responsibility to the taxpayers. That's all. I wanted to get that out, and thank you for listening. I'm done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chief.
The stats for February. The police department responded to 624 calls for service, of which 327 were directed patrols. We initiated 115 traffic stops, wrote 57 tickets, handled 12 cases, made 0 arrests, and handled 12 motor vehicle accidents.
Busy, especially for a short month.
Thanks, Chief.
Bob, one thing, with Bill being out and some things we've adjusted in the building department, so noise, the building inspector or the police can enforce that. If a noise happens on a Sunday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm pretty sure a building inspector is not going to be able to come handle that. About a month ago, we had a call for somebody with a rooster making noise, and thankfully the chief was able to address that. So I think even though it's in the code, the building department can do that, they're not going to be able to, once the noise is gone, it's instantaneous and sanitary. So the police have been kind enough to step in on that. Thank you.
Okay, Justin, do you have anything? Kelly? You do now. Town general insurance quotes. Let's talk about town insurance.
So when we got our renewal for our annual general liability insurance from our insurance carrier, there was a 33.5% increase, which amounted to almost $41,000 over the prior year. Yeah, it went from $121,000 to $162,000. So our insurance carrier advised us to get a quote from NYMER, the New York Municipal Insurance company. So we did. We scrambled and we got a quote from them, and they did not beat the original quote. It was worse. Their first quote was, the first one was the same. No, that's our current quote. $184,000 for the exact same coverage that we have now. So, so I would ask the board if we could, if you would make a motion to use Acrisure for our insurance carrier.
Say that name again?
Acrisure. It used to be CLG, but now it's Acrisure.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Thank you. So you can mail that check out, which is overdue.
Yes. I was holding off until we...
Okay. Anything else on insurance?
No, that's it.
Wine Road we did talk about. Community choice aggregation. I received a letter from, well, it's from the Department of Public Service, and they expedited the review, I don't know how to say the word, Julie's assets and community choice aggregation. And the deficiency thereby invalidates all of the prior outreach and education that may have been performed in these 5 municipalities. I'm picking through this. 5 municipalities to date. As such, Jolie will need to obtain new contract terms and rates for compliant renewable supply product offerings, and that also have been explained and approved by municipalities before performing commission-required post-contract, yada, yada, yada. Bottom line is, if we're going to stay with them, we're going to start from scratch again, and it would be my suggestion to the board that we drop the program, find out how we legally can get out of our contract, which we just signed, what did you say, 2 months ago?
November.
But it already says that they have to do new contracts, but we just haven't gotten from that idea that they came with, we haven't gotten what was promised. Not their fault, not their fault. But when it went out, Orange and Rockland all of a sudden dropped their rates quite a bit below the rates that were able to be obtained by community choice aggregation. Yes, Olga would be unhappy to see us drop out because of the good that it does do on what, 50%
Renewable
energy and what have you. But we don't even know how many people are in it, it's just too many dark clouds, or, yeah, that's a good thing to say, dark clouds. It would be my suggestion to the board, and of course we can talk about it, or we can do it tonight, that we drop out of it. Joe, you've been involved. So.
Again, I do make the argument that with the initial process of the opting in and opting out, and with the crew that was running Jewel at the time, things were a little, it was a little spooky, and a lot of people were upset about the process that it took to join, to be part of the CCA. That pain is well behind us. Anybody that's opted in, opted out, still, it stays status quo. It's only new accounts or switched accounts that have to redo. They're really good about notifications and paperwork. It provides another choice of service. Again, renewables, if you're so inclined to want to go that way. And like you said, on average, though, the price of the CCA has probably been 4 to 5 cents higher kilowatt hour. And that happened again right when the program came aboard. The one way to look at it is, and when people say, I don't want government being us, telling me what power company to suggest, if you think of O&R as just the owner of the wires, they buy the power that they sell to you. And by going with O&R only, you're opting into their program. And with our program, again, it was a way to provide an alternative for people, or this program was to provide an alternative for people devoid of contracts or any kind of load-in fees to join, and it gave you another choice. And in the past, the numbers were good, and if it, again, not everybody, it's just about numbers, it's about how you feel about using renewable energy and environmental situations. So I'm not disregarding the pain in the process and the idea of coming here for another bunch of meetings for people that never even came to one or listened online, 2 people. The program's in place. So it's I say it's already here. I say keep it, but I think I'm in the minority. Thank you.
Take it one step further in this letter. The outreach and education. All outreach and education performed in the 5 municipalities included a non-compliant renewable supply product offering, and therefore does not comply with the O&E requirements and purposes. O&E requirements based on municipality size were not met in the town of Highlands. O&E meeting requirements were not met as there was not verifiable question and answer periods. During O&E public meetings, the following minimum O&E information requirements were not met. So all of those things was either falls on what we did or didn't do. I know Joe, he went overboard on helping them out and getting meetings organized and being here to open up the town hall and what have you. Again, I repeat, I'd like to see us drop out of the program.
So before Joe was on the board, back in 2019 on his birthday, we started the committee, and it wasn't long after that we were engaging community choice aggregation. And at that time, Jeff Demonsky, who I was surprised was not with the program anymore, he came and he had so many, I probably went to, I'm gonna guess, 10 meetings at the library, some were here. When Joe first got on the board, we had one in March, the first year he was here. There was an hour before the meeting where Jeff came and presented, Jimmy Ramus was here, and they talked about it. So fundamentally I supported it, and unfortunately the timing and fit wasn't that good because O&R and a bunch of other companies dropped their rate. Please understand, you have supply and delivery. Delivery doesn't change, okay? That the O&R gets that. For me, that's 2/3 of my bill. Supply is only 1/3 of my bill. I don't even use $80 a month, so it's not a big deal one way or another. But what I learned is I sat here defiantly telling people, well, we had meetings, but nobody came, we advertised it. But let me tell you what I learned. When people were sent this notification that they were in and could opt out. And we made it easy for them to opt out, though out of the 3 ways to do it, it took me 2 of them before I got out of it. We made it easy for them to opt out. They made it clear. They do not want us opting them into anything, and I would never do that again. But this new person who I haven't met, Hannah, I would be willing to table this if Hannah were to come talk to us and verify, not that I don't trust you, that those who already have opted out will not be brought back in again, because I'm not willing to go through that a second time. If she could come talk about it and verify that the people who have opted out won't be brought back in again by default, I would consider it. I'm not willing to do that to the people again. I had over 100 people email me and call me. It was too much, so.
Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion to opt out?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it, and then discussion. If Hannah could come here before we make this final decision, I'd be willing to table it until then. I don't know if we have a time constraint. You can have a meeting somewhere else. That doesn't work. She has to come here in front of the television.
The other rep is Peggy Kurtz, and she was, actually, the last presentation was supposed to be at 6 o'clock tonight. Of course, it canceled. I believe the dates now, they're talking about it's not till August. And they'll definitely confirm, I mean, that again, I think the current crew that's running compared to when Jeff Demansky was involved, this crew is definitely, they're a lot more organized and et cetera. And they will state that the program, once you're opted out, you're opted out. Nothing's going to change. And Peggy will, I'm sure she will attest to it. And if she was here tonight for the program, which again was canceled because of the letter, that could be done.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Olga, do you have anything to say on the motion?
On the motion?
On the motion. The motion is for us to drop out, but I'd like to hear if you've got something to say.
Well, I think Joe's right. I think you've done a lot of the heavy lifting on this, and I'd like to see you take it to the end. I mean, it may not work out, but you're halfway there. So I would prefer to see you take it to the end. Listen to what Peggy has to say, like Richard wants, and go from there.
That, and if you watch the news, which is not healthy for you, new Prime Minister of Canada, electricity is going to have a 25% tariff on it in a couple of days, including the Champlain-Hudson line. This is going to be a very volatile time for all this stuff. So our timing is important, and I think it's all going to fall apart. Not just community choice aggregate, I'm not saying that. I think electric rates are going to fall apart based on what I'm seeing. As the stock market dropped 900 points today during the day, so.
All right, do I have a motion to table the?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
So it's tabled. Cash audit, where are we at here? June, would you please put in the minutes, as required pursuant to the Uniform Justice Code, Justice Court Act, Section 219A, it is the duty of every town justice to present his or her records to the town controller for audit. The records have been reviewed and the fines have been collected and turned over to the proper town officials as per the town controller.
I have it in the email that Kelly sent.
You have it?
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
All right, so that's in the minutes. Kelly did her audit, and now we got something from, I forget who originated this on the FOIL, but the state wanted us to put something in our FOIL policy. And then we kind of realized that we don't have a FOIL policy. So very easily, now Justice put together a FOIL policy with what they wanted entered. And all we have to do is I think everybody's read this, or at least you've gotten it, and if you didn't read it, shame on you. But anyway, the town of Highlands FOIL policy, do I have a motion to adopt the policy?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sullivan.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember DeWitt.
Aye.
Councilmember Scorber.
Aye.
And Supervisor Lindsay.
Aye.
Thank you, Justin, good work.
The Dial-A-Bus operation received an audit from the Public Transportation Safety Board. And I'll read the last sentence. Upon conclusion of the audit activities, we discussed the above findings in terms of overall safety performance. The audit report concludes that the current operations at Highlands are in full compliance with the SSPP on file with this office. Based on the foregoing audit activities and our correspondence, no deficiencies or findings are discovered, and the PTSB staff makes no recommendations due to this high level of safety performance. Your official biennial SSP recertification will take place on March the 13th. Thank you for your cooperation. So thank you very much, Tiffany Mondelez and her operation and the drivers and what have you of Dial-A-Bus.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Well, could I just make one? Dee made a lot of announcements. I just have one. We've had a few classes, presentations on disaster preparedness, and we've got a couple more coming. So it's the Environmental Committee, the Disaster Relief Committee, and we're cooperating with the library this time. And our own Dean Jager will be doing a presentation, our former councilman. He's a building and grounds manager up at Vassar and has got like decades of experience in landscape, and so he's going to talk about how we can design our landscapes around our homes to better protect ourselves against storm damage. So he may even give you a tip or two about, what you can do this spring, but just want to encourage people to come to that presentation and have a nice discussion with our own Dean Jager. Yeah.
What is it?
It's going to be April 4th. It's Friday evening, 6 p.m. at the library. So hopefully it'll be nice and interactive. If you've had some damage to your property, if you want to try to plant some trees or bushes that you think will help, he can give us some ideas about that. And also, save the date. We have Earth Day coming, as we always do. We're doing a big program at the library. It's going to be at the library and at the community garden. We have several locations. Actually, there's going to be a lot more activity community-wide, hopefully, on that day. But one thing I'd like to put in a plug is, and Councilmember DeWitt is going to be one of our repairers. We have a repair cafe. We've had a couple of successful repair cafes. I'd like to expand that program. We're definitely looking for more talented people here in our community who can fix things. I
look forward to breaking things.
Joe fixes great electrical things. We have somebody who's can do electronics. We have an expert seamstress who can help you figure out how to fix that hem on your skirt or your pants. And I would love to have somebody who can do small furniture repairs, like if you have a loose leg on your chair, dining room chair, maybe somebody who can help fix small furniture and fix toys, or maybe fix dolls, fix toys. So and jewelry, if anybody has a skill set around that. So I encourage, and even things that I haven't thought about. So if people out there have a skill set that they are interested in sharing, please contact me and we'll work you into the program.
And that's all April 26, right? There's a lot going on in the village that day. It's going to be a big buzzing day between Olga's, the program she just mentioned, and the Repair Cafe, and Earth Day. Is it called Hope Rocks?
Hope Rocks.
Hope Rocks is going to be at Roe Park from noon to 9 PM, right?
Yeah.
And that's wellness, mental health, youth focused.
They're gonna have entertainment there, they're gonna have,
Yeah, they're playing up
recreational
multiple
stuff.
bands and everything. We'll talk more about it in the future. I don't have the right words to promote it, but again, that's all, again, a lot going on that day, so
Oh, and
I dare to be around.
what is it called, Olga? Scenic
Oh, and the e-waste is still on the table for that day too.
Scenic Hudson is also gonna do something on Earth Day for everyone to come out and help repair some of the trails.
Oh, good.
1:30, I think.
All right, we'll have to put the
Yeah,
whole
that's what we're gonna-
agenda
that's-
together for
I
that
think that's
day.
what we're planning this week, right?
Okay.
To put it all together and present.
Thanks, Chamber. All right.
Very good. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.